You think it's love, but it's not. It's a mirror. And the reflection has nothing to do with them. It's all you. We hold on to people who no longer hold space for us, not because we truly need them, but because something deep inside us remains unseen, unheard, unhealed. Emotional attachment isn't just about the heart. It's the unconscious screaming through a familiar face. It's your past, your wounds, your unmet needs, clinging to the illusion of connection. Carl Jung understood this. He knew that we don't just fall for others, we fall for projections. And when someone cannot love us back, we often refuse to let go, because letting go would mean turning inward and facing what we've hidden from ourselves. It's never really about them. It's about what they awaken in you. Maybe it's a sense of importance, of being chosen, of feeling alive. Maybe they shine with qualities you've buried: confidence, independence, presence. But when you chase those qualities in someone else, you forget they already exist within you, waiting to be reclaimed. That's why it hurts so much to be ignored by someone you love. It's not just rejection. It's your own soul aching for attention through someone else's silence. And what Jung revealed is hauntingly simple. What we deny in ourselves, we seek outside ourselves. Again and again, we fall into the same patterns, the same roles, and the same heartbreaks, because the lesson hasn't been learned. The shadow hasn't been faced. That recurring ache, that longing for the unavailable, that hunger for approval. It's the psyche trying to get your attention. It's your life screaming, "Oh, look here, heal this." You can't fix it by clinging harder. You can't force someone to complete you and expect peace. Healing begins when you stop asking them to change and start to ask yourself why you needed them so much in the first place. Maybe it traces back to a parent who was emotionally distant, or a moment in childhood when love felt conditional. Whatever the origin, the pain is real, but it's not eternal. Unless you keep avoiding it. The path out of this pattern isn't through another person, it's through yourself. And it begins with the terrifying but liberating act of seeing clearly. Seeing how you projected your own light onto someone else and forgot you were the source. Seeing how you mistook longing for love, chaos for passion, silence for mystery. And when you see it, really see it, you begin to pull the energy back into yourself. You begin to say, "I don't need them to be whole." You begin to say, "I was always enough, I just didn't believe it." This is the journey of becoming. Not fixing, not improving, but becoming fully, unapologetically. Jung called it individuation, the process of returning to yourself after giving your power away. It's not about isolating or building walls. It's about choosing relationships that mirror your growth, not your wounds. It's about walking away from unreturned love, not with bitterness, but with reverence, for what it taught you and for the self it helped you uncover. Sometimes people are just passing mirrors. They show you who you're not. They reveal what you still believe you lack. They aren't meant to stay. They're meant to awaken. And once they've done that, your work begins. The work of healing the part of you that believed you needed to earn love, chase it, prove yourself worthy of it. Because real love doesn't demand that. Real love meets you where you are. But you can't receive that kind of love until you become it, until you live it, until you stop giving your heart to people who don't see you and start seeing yourself. There's grief in letting go. Make no mistake. It's not just about the person, it's about the identity you formed around them, the hope you attached to the future you imagined with them. But grief is not the enemy. Grief is the doorway, and beyond it there is peace. Not the peace of avoidance, but the peace of self-return. You don't lose anything by letting go of someone who doesn't love you. You gain yourself, you clear the noise, you make space. And in that stillness, something extraordinary begins to emerge. You begin to feel full without them. You begin to shine on your own. And without effort, you attract a different kind of connection. One not born from fear, but from truth. One that doesn't ask you to shrink, to chase, or beg, but to simply be. Emotional detachment is not a withdrawal from life. It's an arrival into your own. It's saying, "I trust that what is mine will not confuse me, hurt me, or leave me guessing." It's loving freely, without ownership, without dependency. And in that freedom, you find something stronger than attachment. You find self-respect. You find clarity. You find love that does not require suffering. Because the truth is, what you thought was love was often fear in disguise. Fear of not being enough. But fear is not your nature. And when you stop feeding it, something powerful happens. You become your own source. You stop searching, you stop chasing, and you start receiving. Not because you were finally good enough, but because you finally remembered you always were. Everything you've ever searched for, peace, love, security, happiness, it's never been out there. It's always lived inside you. And the moment this truth sinks in, not just intellectually, but deep in your bones, detachment stops being a battle and starts becoming effortless. Letting go no longer feels like a wound. It becomes a release, a quiet return to yourself. Letting go doesn't erase the past. It doesn't wipe away the moments that meant something. It simply means you've learned, and now you're ready to move forward. You carry the lesson, not the weight. Every person who's walked into your life brought more than their presence. They brought a mirror, a symbol, a message from the depths of your unconscious, asking to be seen, felt, understood. They may have shown you what you truly want, or what you can no longer tolerate. They may have touched a shadow you've buried, a part of you you've denied or ignored. And through the friction, the joy, or the pain, they asked you to grow. That's their gift. But once that lesson is complete, there's no need to hold on. Staying stuck in the past only slows your evolution. The pain doesn't come from the ending. It comes from resistance, from replaying scenarios, rewriting moments, wishing you had done more. But the past is set. It cannot be changed. Only understood. And with that understanding, something powerful happens. You set yourself free. You stop carrying what no longer belongs. You stop building homes in places that were only meant to be stopovers. That's what self-love looks like. Not just saying you deserve better, but living it. Refusing to stay in places that rob you of peace. Refusing to confuse chaos for passion. Love doesn't chain you. It doesn't make you beg. It doesn't make you feel like you're not enough. If it wounds more than it warms, what you're holding isn't love. It's a wound pretending to be love. And that wound isn't asking you to chase someone else. It's asking you to turn inward. When you finally let go, really let go, your perspective shifts. You see that people don't arrive by accident. They come as messengers, as mirrors, as catalysts. And when they leave, it doesn't mean something went wrong. It means their part in your story is complete, and your story continues. But for something new to arrive, you must close what's already done, not with bitterness, with gratitude. Gratitude for the moments, the lessons, even the pain, because it shaped you. Every soul that crossed your path left something, even if it was just the clarity of what never to settle for again. Real freedom isn't cutting ties with the world. It's loving without trying to own, giving without waiting, being fully present without losing yourself. It's knowing that you can share your life with someone without placing your entire identity in their hands. Love isn't a prison, it's a presence, a way of being that starts from within. And the most beautiful part, when you stop chasing, when you stop clinging, the right people find you. Not because you need them to fill a void, but because your wholeness attracts wholeness. You no longer beg for love. You embody it. You become it. Letting go isn't about forgetting. It's about clearing space, making room for something more aligned, more honest, more peaceful. Your mind will resist. It will replay old promises, old highs, perfect snapshots frozen in time. But memory is not reality. It's a selective lens, and often it's a trap. Familiarity is seductive even when it hurts, but staying where it hurts doesn't make it love, and leaving doesn't make it failure. It makes it growth, a step toward the life you're meant to live, one built not on fear but on self-trust, one led not by wounds but by wisdom. And sometimes the greatest love story isn't the one you had with another person, it's the one you write with yourself. When you stop abandoning yourself to be chosen, when you stop betraying your peace to keep someone else comfortable, and when you stop believing that your worth is something another person gets to decide. Emotional detachment isn't cold. It's clarity. It's no longer mistaking longing for love or suffering for loyalty. It's finally seeing that you were never broken, just buried under old beliefs. Beliefs that told you love had to hurt, that you had to earn it, that without someone else, you weren't enough. But that story, it's not true, and you get to rewrite it. The pain you feel isn't about them. It's about what you made them represent. A dream, a hope, a version of yourself you thought only they could bring out. But everything you thought they gave you, you've always had. You just needed to stop searching outside and start remembering. Letting go isn't the end. It's the door to your own becoming. And when you walk through it, you won't just find peace. You'll find yourself finally fully and free. It's not about pretending the pain doesn't exist. It's about learning to walk with it, learning to breathe through it until it slowly becomes part of your strength. The truth is, it hurts. Not because you're weak, not because you're failing, but because your heart was tied to something familiar, to someone your mind convinced you was necessary for your happiness. But when you finally begin to loosen your grip, when you stop chasing what is no longer yours, something starts to shift. The air feels lighter. The noise in your chest quiets. And in that silence, clarity begins to bloom. You begin to see the truth, not from a place of desperation, but from awareness. That peace was never in the holding on. It was always in the release. You don't need to beg for love. You don't have to chase respect. These things, when real, are given freely, not coaxed out of someone who doesn't see your worth. You stop overanalyzing the conversations. Stop rereading the messages. Stop trying to decode silence like it holds some secret about your value. And in that stillness, you realize the most important person in your life has always been you. This doesn't mean your heart will never open again. It simply means that the next time it does, it won't come from a place of needing to be saved. It will come from wholeness. From a knowing that you are already enough. That love, when it returns, will not be something you reach for in desperation, but something you welcome in peace. That's the quio miracle of true detachment. It transforms you from the inside out. You stop identifying with who you were when you were broken, and start stepping into who you were always meant to be. Each tear, each silent night, each unanswered question, they all become steps toward that becoming. It's not an easy walk, it's not meant to be. But every step forward is a reclamation of your soul. And one day, without warning, you look back, and you don't feel broken anymore. You don't feel like something's missing. You feel powerful. Not because everything went your way, but because you finally stopped abandoning yourself. You discover that love was never meant to be a prison, but a mirror. And the most sacred mirror you'll ever look into is the one within. You learn to stop measuring your worth by who stays. You stop waiting to be chosen, because you already chose yourself. And in that decision, something magnificent begins to unfold. You no longer look at love as a rescue mission. You don't need fixing. You're not a puzzle waiting for someone to solve. You're a universe rediscovering its light. And from that place of inner radiance, you start attracting something different. Love that is aligned. Love that does not bind. Love that flows. But that kind of love only finds you when you've made peace with solitude, when your joy is no longer conditional on someone else's presence. It happens when you've grieved what needed to be grieved, accepted what was never yours to keep, and thanked the pain for the lessons it carved into your bones. The hardest thing is to let go of someone who doesn't love you back, but it's also the bravest, because in doing so, you don't just release them. You come home to yourself. You remember that everything you tried to find in them already lived inside you, and the journey back to that knowing, while lonely at times, is the most liberating path you'll ever take. Healing isn't about deleting your past. It's not about pretending it never happened. Healing is remembering without hurting. It's integrating the experience without letting it define you. Carl Jung didn't say to avoid the suffering. He said to walk through it. Because it's only through that fire that your true self emerges. Not the version that needed to be loved by others to feel worthy, but the one who loves themselves too much to stay where they're not seen. Every person you've met has taught you something. Every heartbreak has whispered a truth you were meant to hear. And when you really understand that, the pain loses its grip. You don't need to be angry. You don't need to hold on. You just let it all be exactly as it was and walk forward with new eyes. Because something changes when you stop needing love to fill a void. That's when love, real love, begins to appear. The kind of love that doesn't make demands. The kind of love that feels like freedom. It's born in silence and stillness, in those quiet moments when you're no longer chasing or proving or waiting. It comes when you've already found everything you were looking for within yourself. And when you get to that point, when your peace is no longer negotiable, when your self-worth is no longer tied to someone else's opinion, that's when you become magnetic. Not to everyone, but to the right ones. The ones who recognize your light because they've learned to shine on their own too. This is not about forgetting the past. It's about releasing its grip. It's about choosing to live, not in regret, but in possibility. Not in longing, but in presence. It's about choosing yourself again and again, no matter how many times the world told you not to. And maybe, just maybe, there's someone else out there who needs to hear this. Someone who's still lost in the fog of a love that's already gone. Someone who still thinks their happiness lives in another person. And maybe it's your voice, your story, your message that helps them wake up, that helps them break free. Because when one person chooses to heal, it ripples. When one soul reclaims their power, it lights the path for others. That's how we begin to change things. Not by fixing others, but by returning to ourselves. You are not broken, you are remembering. You are not too much. You are learning to take up your rightful space. You are not lost. You are on your way home.